You're joining us with yet another face-to-face where we dive deeper into Sri Lanka's political arena. I am Mariam Ganavijaya, your host for today, and we have Barath Arullsamy, who is the Vice President of the Democratic People's Front, with us to discuss politics, people's problems, and so much more happening in Sri Lanka at this moment. So thank you very much for joining us, Barath.
Thank you, Mariam. Thank you for having me here.
So the People's Democratic I beg your pardon, the Democratic People's Front is a part of the Samagi Jana Sandhanaya that I would like to touch on first before we start off the program, because I think hot topic in Sri Lanka right now is where one faction, that is the UNP, is saying that Ranil will become president, and then the SJB is saying that Sajith is going to become the president of Sri Lanka by December, that is in a couple of more months before the year ends. What is the Democratic People's Front's take on this? Are you all really serious about it? Because we already have a president who just got elected by the people. So what's your take on this?
Well, first of all, I would like to extend my wishes to the workforce for the country for the May Day. And also, this is a very controversial questions nowadays. A lot of people are keep on asking what is the actual picture. Well, you see, Sri Lankan politics after COVID had become a little bit unstable. We can't predict, okay, this will happen for this many years. When I just wanted to just refer to the post-war situation, where President Mahinda Rajapaksa won the civil war or concluded the war. They said he is almost the king, he is a leader for lifetime. But unfortunately in 2015 he lost the election. Similarly, when Gotabaya Rajapaksa came into power, he said this with that 2/3 majority and with that 6.9 million winning, for 20 years no one can touch them. And also in 2015, when the good governance formed, it's a very democratic process. So all are heard. So this will be the future of the country. So when we see the results were very unexpected from 2015 to 2024. But having said that, here, this government, everyone's fundamental question is very correct, because this government has more than 2/3 majority and the president has come with full power. And since this fraction between the right-wing parties are there, there's a high chance of this government to sustain for another 5 years, because they have the mandate for that. But to be very frank, Mariam, we can't 100% say this will go along. It all depends on how the government is going to move forward. Having said that, the present government, it all depends how the present government stands and their policies and how they deliver to the people will decide their prevalence. If not, sometimes people may, take a drastic decision. But I still doubt that, people will not go for that extent. But as an opposition, we have to always keep the government under accountability and also a kind of in right track to just to put the things in correct format, and also make sure whatever the government promised to the people are being delivered. So that is the idea behind it. So on part of the Democratic People's Front, we have not said that this drastic change will come in the state leader position, but we always fight for that. As an opposition, it is our duty to get into power, and also those who are being into power, we have to make sure they are accountable.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, you represented the CWC at one point as well.
Yes.
And that is a party that works with Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Yes.
And like I said, people who support Ranil Wickremesinghe are saying that he will become president by August. So if the people are given a choice, like you said, some things you never see it happening, and there might be a downfall for Andrew Kumara Dissanayake. We cannot be sure of it, 100%
we
certain.
I'm not willing to happen, but we don't know.
Yeah, but so we can't be 100%
Yeah,
certain.
yeah.
But even then, the people have this thing in their mind that when the country was going downwards, Ranil Wickremesinghe was someone who actually came forward and saved the country. Some people have that mindset. But as far as Sajith Premadasa goes, he is someone who didn't take up the responsibility at that time and did not win the election when he was competing with Anura Kumara Dissanayake. So for a party that is a part of an alliance of a main party like that, how do you all feel? What is the Samagi Jana Sandhanaya a success? Would you all call it a success? How is your party performing, working with them?
It's a very tricky question though, but to be very frank, you see, we always wanted on the perspective of opposition leader, he always wanted to exercise the rule of law and apply the mandate of the people, where there is a established rule that should be followed. But unfortunately, when you take the post 2022 incidents where President Wickremesinghe came into power, there was a necessity arised. So at that time, making some decisions, we do criticize the opposition leader back then. You didn't take the decision, but then he came forward for a democratic practice, whether this is my idea or this is my policies. If you are willing, vote for us. But people gave the mandate to current president Dissanayake.
Yes.
So I think it all depends on the people's perspective and people's mandate, how a leader is driving the country. Because thanks to 2022 economic crisis, now people are very much vigilant about what is happening around, not only in economic perspective but also in political perspective. So they are taking few things very serious. When it comes to even a small promise which the government or the representative fail to deliver, they are taking up it very seriously. And also yet again, the participation in economics and also economic decisions are not, it is not limited to a bureaucratic group at the moment. Even a layman or an average citizen of this country is thinking what is going to happen. Because when I observed this when this US tariff came into place, even just a average person in a local street shop is worried about that. So that is a good sign. What I'm saying is people should participate in this democratic process, because this is our country. We can't delegate to one group or one person and wait like he will make things correct. So this is the reason, in the past 70 years, we had delegated, okay, they will look after. So a lot of bad policies had been taken, and we are in a very crucial situation right now. So I strongly believe people will take the correct decision. If the government is going to deliver what they have promised and what they want, what the country ought to have, then definitely the people will unconditionally support. As an opposition, we are also having in various situation, we have emphasized that if the government is taking few steps forward for progressive development, we are willing to support. And my party leader made a request, and all the opposition made a request when this US tariff came into place. We called for all party conference meeting with the president, and we gave our suggestion, and it was positively taken. So this is what we want. So I think if there is a necessity, yes, definitely there will be a change. And whether it's Ranil Wickremesinghe or Sajith Premadasa or someone else, it all depends on the circumstances. So once again, it all we can't be 100% sure about the future. There is always, that is power struggle, you see. When in any country, in this power oriented politics, all wanted to come into power. So how and when and where, what is the timing is a suspense.
Right. So Barath, my next question to you, I'll break it down to two parts.
Yes.
So you said economy, you said policies. Tell me, first of all, what is the Democratic People's Front's economic policy? What is your vision for the economy?
Our party as a whole, as Tamil Progressive Alliance, our three parties are majorly focusing on the plantation sector, especially the Indian origin Tamil Malayalam community. So our prime focus is on to ensure economic independence to the marginalized community in Sri Lanka. Why I say economic independence? You know, people talk about a lot of plantation sector community. They talk about they still live in lined rooms, their wages are low, and their living conditions are low, and their infrastructure is low. Yes, that is there. And people tend to blame all the representatives who represented the that specific citizen of this country. But unfortunately, Mariam, when you look very deeply into the root cause, from 1948 to today, the system has oppressed our people. So we are advocating, we have to integrate as a full-fledged Sri Lankan into the society. So that is our number one demand. When you talk about economy, our concern as a party is to ensure plantation sector community should be integrated into the national mainstream as fellow citizens, and also they should given the economic independence. When it comes to economic independence, there are nearly 150,000 plus families who are still living in lined rooms. When we talk about their living condition, some may argue it is because of the plantation companies. Some may argue because of this politician. But we are forgetting the fact that it is because of the system that plantation companies or politicians or whoever it is taking the charge has to fail to do so. So now we have found the fundamental root cause where these people, when we are taken off with our citizenship right in 1948, up until to 2002, our fundamental goal is to become a citizen of this country, because we were stateless. And 60s, we were like part of us was repatriated to India. And in 70s, 80s, we had all conflicts and ethnic issues and civil war. Everything was affecting us. So our development was very minimal. Our security was very high. Security in the sense, security concern. So now, for them to, now when you compare our community with other communities, you can't compare them because, you know, our growth rate is very low. Despite that, there are a lot of youngsters nowadays are coming forward in their education and the skills, and, you know, they are contributing to the economy. But if we give these 150,000 people plus families a small plot of land to negate the dependence from the plantation companies or any other stakeholder agencies, then they will have a plot of land, and they can have their, you know, economic growth around that. So this is the reason we have advocated from the Indian government. We got 4,000 houses during the good governance period, and another 10,000 houses during last government, and almost we are looking at 14,000 housing units. The reason behind, not to, you know, just give house and, you know, satisfy them with that, okay, you have a house now, you are no more in line. We have to ensure, okay, we have given a house, we have given a plot of land, you are now independent, you are not dependent on plantation company or, you know, some kind of a group. You are at your own. So you have to develop your economy, and also there are a lot of skills we have to give to this society. So one may argue, no, you know, you can't give a specialist treatment to this community. But as a party, what we are aspiring, say, come on, with this all policy decisions which the governments took from past 70 years had largely affected our community. So when to answer your question, our fundamental demand is to ensure our community is secured with economic independence. Why I talk about that? Because we have the right to talk about, because we are contributing to the GDP of this country. And even to tell you, the tea exports in 2020, 2021, 2022, this crucial period, COVID and economic crisis, it all beyond $1 billion. So we have the right, because our workers worked in the tea plantation despite COVID, despite crisis. Our guys worked in the field, and our people made sure this economy is stable. So if what we request from the other stakeholders, kindly reciprocate. Look at us. So our focus is on economy, and on the national economy concern. This government or previous governments, yes, they talk about export economy, they talk about investments, but we don't. We have forgot yet another important element is the manufacturing in the ground level. So the local businesses are not flourishing because as a result of this crisis, there is no local businesses are happening. When there is no ground level manufacturing processes happening, we can't talk about FDIs. So for now, any investor to come into Sri Lanka, and he will look into two important elements. Apart from their financial capacities, their ROIs and other things, whether they have a sound land policy, whether they have a sound workforce policy. So since it's a May Day, I would like to use this program as a platform to urge the government. Our labor law is totally obsolete and outdated. It should be reformed according to the new needs of the country in the world. And when we see with our competitors like Vietnam, Bangladesh or India, Kenya, they whatever said and done, they are having a sound employment policies with them. That is what they are very much they were able to attract a lot of FDIs. But here there are almost 44 laws. We are only using 17 laws. When it comes to plantation sectors, hardly 6 or 7 laws. So we need to do a full revamp in this Employment Act. Otherwise, it will affect. Now, this government is basically on communist ideologies, but applying this communist ideologies itself, this present Employment Act is affecting the working class according to their language. So working class, and also it's not attracting any investment to the country because there is lot of instability. It's very complex and people can't understand, and there are very much room for exploitation. And so this labor law should be reformed immediately. And yet again, we need to have a very firm land policy. If we don't have a land policy, if the investor or a business person in Sri Lanka is not clear enough about his land policy, about his security, then it's a problem. I'm talking about all this apart from this financial ratings and everything. These two are very important to address. So our party perspective, one is based on community, other one in national economy. We are talking about the local businesses, employment reform and land reform.
So when you say system change, I think the common idea on the top of the people's minds, when they say system change, they think, okay, the person governing the country or the party is governing the country, that's system. But the way you're saying, governments changing is not enough. The private companies also have to, it's because of the system. Basically, they are following a law. Is that what you're saying must change?
Exactly. Okay. The structure now. See, every 5 years, people have they are mandated with the chance of replacing all these heads. No?
Yeah.
Whether
Okay.
it's heads of state or parliament, Pradesh Sabha, anyone.
Changes. Okay.
It can
Yeah.
be changed. But the system which they have been created and it is running for 70 years has not changed drastically.
Okay. Because it's the same type of people.
Same type of people
Okay.
and with the same network.
Huh.
You know.
Yeah.
Now, say, I'll tell you one simple example. Up until 2021, in the plantation sector, all these disputes were resolved through our collective bargaining. So we had a collective agreement. So the unions go and talk with plantation management and they resolve the matter. So they hardly go to courts or labor commission. In 2021, when this collective agreement was terminated, when the workers went to labor commissioner or labor department trials or anything, there were no sufficient laws which can accommodate this their issues, disputes. There is no dispute resolution mechanism. So what I'm saying is, so we are like, we are in the same old laws. We have not evolved.
Okay, so the people who are being appointed to power must come in and then they must change the law around in which way it benefits the plantation workers.
Exactly.
Right.
Not only plantation workers per se,
The people
as a
of
whole,
Sri Lanka.
as a whole,
Okay,
employment,
but
yes.
for your party, the main objective concern is the plantation workers.
Community.
So regardless of the people in working as public officials changing or the people who are governing the country as politicians changing, it has to be the way they govern that changes for you all to do this.
Exactly.
And for the Democratic People's Front, the party that aligns best with what you all are expecting for the national economy and the people that you all are catering is the Samagi Jana Balawege, in which, because you all are a part of the Samagi Jana Sandhana.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Right. Okay. We will come back after a short commercial break. We have so much more to ask Barath, but let's take a quick break. We'll see you soon.
Newsfirst, face to face with Mariam Gunvujaya.
ඔබේ ගමේ නගරේ දේශපාලනයේ හෙට දවස සතිය දිනවල සවස 6:30ට.
If you do not perform, or if you have not performed, and if you do not perform, this is a protest vote we are going to place, and that signal, that protest vote will go down very well because the government will know that their popularity is coming down and they will have to arrest him.
This government needs checks and balances.
You can't say only winning parties announce their candidates. There have been it has been time and time again where, candidates are chosen.
Our police is still being restructured and reformed at the moment, and that is part of the reason. But I also think organized crime is a bit unsettled at the moment.
Face the Nation every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m.
Design is like music. It's a whole orchestra. The dots, the lines, the dashes. It's a whole symphony. It has to feel good.
Come on a fantastic discovery of design as Anthony Burke meets designers from Mumbai to Yogyakarta, showcasing groundbreaking works.
This is me, this is my creation, this is my life.
Culture by Design.
Saturday at 6 p.m. onwards on TV1.
Newsfirst, face to face with Mariam Gunvujaya.
Welcome back. You're watching Face to Face on TV1, and we are in conversation with Barath Arullsamy from the Democratic People's Front, speaking about Sri Lanka, politics, people, and so much more. Well, just when we started off, Barath actually told us that he wanted to wish the people of Sri Lanka a very happy May Day, because today is a day dedicated for the working class of Sri Lanka, the laborers who bring in, who increase the GDP of the country, who develop our economy, and today is their day. So while we speak about that, we just came back, just before we crossed over to the break, Barath spoke to us about how he thinks that their goal for the people that they cater, aligns best with the Samagi Jana Balavegaya or the Samagi Jana Sandhane that they are a part of. And today, your May Day rally was also part of the Samagi Jana Balavegaya. We saw what opposition leader Sajid Premadasa had to say, and I feel like, Barath, when the government speaks about the people, especially President Anurukumara Dissanayake, something he always says is the person who was contesting from the SJB is a former president's son. SLPP, former president's son. Another party, son-in-law of a president, or always relatives. But he says that he is a person from Thamuttegama. He worked directly with the people. The people of the NPP are very close to the people. Their grassroots level relationships are great. So, as a person from the Democratic People's Front, a person who caters to a very different audience from the people we see daily in Colombo, how do y'all see this? Do y'all have good grassroots level relationships? How are y'all with the people? Because you need to understand the working class best to cater for them, right?
Well, it's a good question, Mariam. Like, that was a very big statement by President, everyone are sons of presidents. The thing is, it doesn't matter whether you are a son or a daughter of a politician or a leader. It all depends on your personality, how you are going to deliver. So I strongly believe in that. Because this country has gone through this class politics from since the independence, a kind of a dynasty rule. Now the people had realized, no, this dynasty rule has to change, and new people has to come. That is good, But the thing is, it is those who do politics only by posting or boasting about their parents' victory or what their ancestors has done is not going to lay any benefit. That is the reality we have to understand. We are a party, the Tamil Progressive Alliance as a whole, being a party with grassroots level. Now this time also we got the mandate to get elected in the parliament election. And we strongly believe in the local government election also. Whoever we have placed for a candidature, they will win, because our people are so much connected with the people, and the period we worked with the people, we had brought lot of. At that time, I was not in this party, but to be very frank with. In 2015 to 2019, there were a lot of progressive laws and policies had been introduced in benefiting our community, especially establishing this Pradesh Lekams, the AG limits and district divisional secretariats, and exercising the power in which to grant policy entrenchment for our people, especially granting 7 purchase of land. In the previous government, thanks to the previous minister, he made that as 10 purchase of land. So what we are looking at, this dynasty political culture, if that is not going to accepted by people, any person should adapt to that change and move forward. He or she has to put forward their individual capacity to the people and to establish what is their vision to the country and what they are capable of doing to the betterment of the people. Under Kumara Dissanayake president's speech, sometimes yes, it's very influential and motivating to many youngsters to come into politics. But however, you see, everything, you can change the cover of the book. You can't change the content of the book, no. Right. So, Andhra Kumara Dissanayake president is, yes, he had given a hope for youngsters or non-political entities to come into political, and their party, a lot of new faces have come in. But they are also following the same political culture. That is not changed yet. So, that will take time.
What do you mean by political culture?
Political culture in the sense, say, now, this local government election, it all depends on how that local government ward member is going to deliver to that ward residents. This is it, no?
Yeah.
So, in past 30-40 years, the head of state will, influence in this election practices, like, whether it's general election or local government election, to put their force and maintain their victory. So, similar thing has been utilized by this government also, going around and talking about what they are rather now, like since we all know about, in this last 1 month in presidential campaigns, wherever he went and talked on behalf of his party, he had not spoken about a progressive growth about in this country, So he had spoke about, how opposition was, tarnishing the economy image of this country, and how they were corrupt, and how the powers being misused. So these are the things. So people have already understood that, and that is why they have replaced those 30-40 year historical people with this government. And going and telling the same story and creating a populist theory will not going to help, and it is not going to change the system.
So isn't that what the opposition is also doing? Isn't the opposition also going
No,
saying,
what I'm saying,
they are lying, they want to love this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So you are blaming the opposition for the mistakes we did, the errors we did, and the past 70 years we were like, bringing this country down. That is the agenda or the
stance of the
government.
Yes.
So what you have to do something better than that, no? So what is the better part they have done?
Okay, so you are saying that the government hasn't done better yet? Or
Yet.
Okay.
What we see as a citizen of this country, I don't want, governments may come and go, people may change, but I personally always state that state can't fall. Sri Lanka can't fall. So now there are a lot. I don't say, they were, in before election they were lying. This election also they are lying. I am not saying that those are childish things.
Yes.
Come into power, they will do a lot of tactics. But once you come into power, as Mahatma Gandhi says, this change they should, express to the people. But I don't see yet the people has a stance of, or a plan to implement what they have promised. Now, say for an example, in north and east areas, so they say, we are no more, Tamils and Sinhalese, we are Sri Lankans. Yes. We also wanted to become Sri Lankans, right? And to ensure that Sri Lankan mindset or that spirit, we have to make changes. How? To make this constitution as a secular constitution. It's not limited to one religion or one ethnic group. So we are all, if we are all are equal, we should be all equal by law. By, word of mouth, we can't become equal. So that is what I am saying is, President may say very lucrative words and, attracting words. But the thing is, delivery is not as done. We can't blame the government also. It's just 6-7 months.
Yes.
And they also say, like, you all been doing for 70 years. You are blaming us for 7 months. Fair enough. But what we are saying, we always say, okay, we are not expecting to do it tomorrow or in a month or two. But you should have a plan to understand that yes, in 2 years the achievement will be like this. In 5 years the achievement like this. And if some JVP is saying they are going to be for 20 years in power, okay, in 20 years the country will be like this. Because I'll tell you, in 2005, 2015, China had that idea of made in China plan in 2025. They came fully focused and they worked for that idea, and in 2025 they are the pioneers and they are the number one manufacturers of electric vehicles. No one can beat BYD at the moment. Similarly, when we talk about India now, when you compare with Europe and India, Europe after World War, they had support of America. There are a lot of nations came together to support, and they were becoming a huge economy. From 1940s to today, their growth rate is high. But in India, after 1991 only, they started their growth. See how they are influential and powerful nowadays. So I expect from my president, right, the country's presidents, is that to set out these goals, rather telling that Mahinda Rajapaksa go out of this country, or Sajith is not suitable, or this blame game that is a different politics. But I don't expect that from a head of state as a president.
Okay. So now we spoke about what you all want, what your goal is. Then you mentioned delivery, and you said, okay, we are not getting these things.
Yes.
The government hasn't done it. But you all said, okay, it's okay, we'll give them time, let's see if they do it.
Yes.
But you all are in the opposition because you all think that they haven't done it yet, or they might not do it now. So you all are against the government at the moment. Right now,
yes,
opposition is?
It is our it's our ethic, no, to make sure the government does.
Yes, of course, yes. I mean, that is what opposition means. No, opposition means that, we are opposing them because they don't meet our demands yet. So, okay, let me ask the Democratic People's Front. Let's ask the Vice President. Okay, they haven't done what you all want. How will you all do it?
It's we have already told a few instances where things can be done.
Okay.
Let me before going into the larger picture, let me talk about our prime focus.
Okay.
See, now when we talk about this land rights, I informed about this economic independence. See, now we are not asking for every person who is living in our country piece of land. We have already identified the needs.
Okay.
We have already identified the lands. And in previous government, thanks to President Vikram Singh and Minister Thundaman, we got nearly 1 billion grant for giving housing deeds, which we have already prepared. When I was the chairman of Plantation Human Development Trust, we prepared land deeds and distributed to the beneficiaries. So here, one may argue, no, if you go and give lands, there won't be tea land, and you can't. How can you going to sustain? We have nearly 200,000 hectares of tea land, especially tea plantation lands. What we are requesting is less than 1% of this entire tea land. Why we are requesting is to create a independence for this community, wherein which this community won't be a burden for that plantation company or that industry or the government. Okay, so this economic independence comes in. So we have given all the plans. We have set out how we can do, and we have already when Leader Mano Ganeshan, when he was in good governance period, they have delivered that also, by bringing special laws and getting cabinet approvals and distributing land deeds. They have done that. So that is nothing new. And when it comes to the economy at large, as I told you, there is no Herculean task for the government to come and change everything. As we all know, there is an established mechanism here. We have to change and update the mechanism only. As I said, the local businesses are not happening. So we are now, for an example, I saw President is inviting the diaspora community
to
in
invest.
North, come and invest. Okay, the diaspora community to come and invest. What are we going to do, like as a kind of a intention to show that okay, you all had these issues, we are resolving these issues. By the time of election time, going and releasing some roads does not give, they all, not only Tamil diaspora but also Sinhalese community who left the country had gone with lot of pain from this country. To win back that is a big task. So for that, Sri Lanka must establish their credibility with those community. And recently we met this EU delegation headed by Mr. White Waitley and the 5-member group. And what our leader also emphasized on, okay, to ensure, we also want our country to grow, but to ensure that these conditions should be, kind of a cosmetic condition. When someone comes in, you just put some powder and okay, everything is done. It should be very, foundational output where they will agree to consider more on this good governance. So we have already given the government how to do so. The government has to do that rather, just blaming or because we don't,
because from what you all say, these are very practical very realistic,
ones.
easy simple work
now,
that has to be done.
Like getting away with PTA.
Okay.
Just a sensitive
okay. Yes.
matter.
Yes.
It's not a big deal, but it is a problem for the country to have a counter-terrorism mechanism, because there are 10 major wars are going around there, and the recent tension between India and Pakistan. We need to have laws, yes. But the thing is, this current PTA, what we are emphasizing, anyone can be questioned any month or years, we don't mind. It is not on the discretion of a police officer. It should be a discretion of a judge or the commission. So these changes should be happen. So let's, we told the EU also, we have to give a moratorium immediately where until a new law is established. So I welcome the decision Minister Vijita Herath had ensured within 3 months they will do. But President Andhra Kumar Dissanayake, he was co-member of with my party leader Manoga Nation also when he was the opposition to eradicate this PTA and bring some important reforms, especially constitutional reforms. So those cannot be evaded away and just talked about this economic growth only. So the economic growth and social growth must happen simultaneously.
But the thing is, Barath, I'm going to wrap this up with this final question for you. The thing with the people, or let's be very specific and say workers, what they are saying is, yes, you all are making promises. But before also they made promises. We believed them and we gave them the mandate, people's mandate. They came into power. But where? What has happened? So they are like, how can we believe you? Because for some reason, the National People's Power government is very popular among the people. And they think that if they say
popular. They were popular.
Well, okay, in past tense, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so why should they believe you?
No, the thing is, see, it all depends on, as I told you in our first question, it's all depends on delivery.
Okay.
When President Gotabaya Rajapaksa came into power with the same 2/3 majority, with same 6.9 million vote, he was, people were thinking he's going to be a kind of a administrator. Even I was under the impression he's a good administrator, he's going to do many things. But the decisions he took and the team he associated with, and the decision in crucial time and policies they took, had led a drastic change in the governance. So similarly, this government also may have the same kind of a thing, they can take it up. But how I feel the opposition right now is, I don't say like others, we are more mature, we are experienced people. Experience is immaterial for this entire governance, because it's, you need to have lot of knowledge than experience. Experience, you can have experience officials. You have to have an experienced official. But to lead, you need not to have experience immediately. It's all in time to time, you get the knowledge out
Learning
of that.
experience.
Yes. Learning experience. So, what I see different from NPP in SJB alliance as a whole, you know, this team is willing to adopt the change.
Okay.
Right? But they are very rigid to change. So that is my answer to your question.
Right. Okay. So that was our conversation with the Vice President of the Democratic People's Front, Barath Arullsamy. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mariam.
It was quite the conversation on Sri Lanka politics, people, and so much more on a very special day that is May Day. So thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you on another day. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.
Newsfirst, face to face with Mariam Gunvijaya.